ready for wedding season. I know it's been stalled out, but we all know it's coming back eventually, and people are going to need their hair done. So what if I told you you could do a bridal style without using a curling iron? Would you believe me? Well, I've got something to share with you today. Welcome to Shop Talk and Style. I'm Tony Santini. I'm going to share with you today a bridal style that you don't need to use a curling iron for. I've been in this business for 23 years. I consider myself a cosmetology career strategist, as I've worked in multiple facets of the industry. If you want to learn more about me and my background, please feel free to check out my About video. It's got the whole lowdown there. But today, we're going to look at a wedding style. So, here's an example of what we're going to be looking at. It's a low bun. Classic. Good form for the head. Clean. Easy place to position a veil, whether it goes up, below, or over top. And then you can get creative with what amount of hair you want to leave down or put up. I've even seen people incorporate braids into this and such, but what I'm going to share with you is really the classic take on this so that you can take it and really make your own in the salon. Feel free to try this at home too. It's not the easiest thing to do on your own hair, but hey, there's a lot of talented people out there, and I wouldn't say don't do it to anybody. The same setup was also used for this mannequin. And she's a great example of a side messy bun. This would be a nice bridesmaid style. It's also part of an inspirational video that I'm going to bring to you shortly, showing how you can take inspiration from other images or ideas and turn it into something of your own. Cool. All right, so let's take a look. Here's our model for the day. Nice and full hair. I prepped her hair using a directional blow dry technique that I actually have a video for on my channel called 3 Steps to the Perfect Setup. And check that video out. It's how I got her hair started. It's an easy, quick technique that you can do in the salon for people when they come in instead of shampooing and starting over again. But it helps to prep her hair to get her going. So let's talk a little bit about the tools. So the tools for this style are going to be as follows. You're going to need a rat tail comb, ideally. I personally like this comb because you can section the hair really easily when you're doing updos with the tip on the end. Plastic or metal, doesn't really matter, whatever your preference, but a rat tail comb is a great way to go. Also going to use some clips, some larger clips to hold more hair out of the way while you're working. And I like to have some smaller clippies available too. You never know. Sometimes you might have a little piece section of hair you need to hold, so have them available. We're going to have some elastic cord. I know, it sounds a little crazy. It's the best tool to create a solid ponytail that's not going anywhere. Remember, these people are going out for the night, right? It's a party generally. They want to go dancing, they want to have fun. We do not want this hair to be moving around. One of the things I think about when I'm doing an updo is how can I stabilize this hair in a way that they can shake it until they're done. So, this is going to be a great way to do it. The other thing we're going to use are hairpins. So we have the large selection, and then bob pins, or bobby pins. So heads up on the pins. Hairpins, the bigger ones, notice there's a lot of space in between these. They're designed to hold more hair, and they're also based on tension in the head, and I'll talk about this a little bit as I get into pinning the hair in place. Bobby pins, when you look at the size and the amount of space in between, it's very small. They're very tightly sprung, if you will, so they don't open very easily. And they're not designed to use a ton of hair, but they are designed to hold the hair based on the tension of the pin itself, not the tension against the head. So I'll talk a little bit about this as we go into it as well. So after you've prepped the hair, don't forget, check out that directional blow dry video. 3 Steps to the Perfect Setup. We're going to talk about sectioning. Sectioning is really important when you do an up style because you need to have a roadmap or direction on where you're going to go. What hair is going to be placed where and when to work with it. So with this particular style, we're dividing it into 2 main sections. The first section is going to be the top and crown, and then the second section is going to be the back, sides, and bottom or nape of the head. That's going to be ponytailed, and the top and crown will be worked with to create some volume and some lift to give the hair a little bit more fullness. One thing I always like to remember and to talk to my clients about is what we see visually in the mirror oftentimes represents a little bit differently than what we see on in a picture or on camera. So I've definitely had people sit in my chair and think, oh my god, my hair's too big, or there's too much volume, or it's too high. And then you see a picture of it and it's like, oh, it's actually fine. Or they've had me taking it down, and then we've looked at it, taking the volume down, excuse me, and then we've looked at it and it said in the picture, it doesn't quite look big enough. So it's good to talk to them about this in the setup and just let them know, hey, you know, your hair might look a little fuller or larger than it normally does for you, but that's important because pictures tend to make things look a little bit smaller. And this is a formal event, so it's not going to look exactly like you, but one thing that's really important is that they're comfortable with it and it does feel like them. So if you have a client that comes in, I'm going to share something with you actually. This is a great story. I have a client that has curly hair. She came in, she brought me a picture, naturally curly hair, very curly. She brought me a picture of this smooth, sleek style, low setting in the hair, sweep in the front, actually very close to this one. And I blew all her hair out, smoothed it out, put it in this little nice bun in the back, and she really had a hard time looking at herself. Like, it really didn't look like her at all. And when that happens, you need to be sensitive as a stylist to understand that, hey, this person is seeing themselves in a different light, and they want to be able to look at these pictures later on and think, hey, that's definitely me, I feel totally comfortable. So what we ended up doing was I had her come in again for another trial. Yes, it costs to have another trial. I did what she wanted me to do, and she totally understood that. She paid me for that, and then she paid me for another appointment because she wanted to try something else. This time I made a suggestion. Let's use your curly hair. I did the same style. I just used her curls. So instead of smoothing her hair out, I pinned her naturally curly hair into a low bun in the back and let some pieces hang down. Felt more like her because the texture was more like her hair. So get a sense of where your client's comfort level is before you go into creating a style from them. Sometimes even if they ask you for something and it's totally different than what they look like. So let's section this mannequin head. I'm going to grab my rat tail comb. Make sure this is stable so she doesn't pop off on me like we all know she likes to do. And I'm going to section out this area on top. So I'm working in this horseshoe section, just taking the top and crown and clipping it up. And we'll go right around to the back. Now we might want to make sure that it's symmetrical on both sides. So let's make sure that we have the same amount of hair coming up on either side of the head at the same point. So if we look at the camera, you can see it starting in the same spot on both sides. And then as we look into the back, it's even. Now this is important. When you go to clip this hair out of the way, because we're not working with it right now, you can comb it out, make sure it's not all tangled, but we don't want to create a tight knot right now, because it's going to set the hair in real tightness or low volume. It also might create dents. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this area and wrap it around my hand like a big old barrel curl, and I'm going to clip it to the top so the volume stays up and the hair doesn't get dented. I'm going to take my larger clip and I'm going to come in underneath the top part of the hair. You don't want to clip on the top because that will dent the top of the hair. So we're going to clip underneath. And then I'm going to stick another one on the other side. And then we're just going to let that sit while we work with the rest of the hair. Now because I did a directional blow dry on this hair, it's already prepared to move back for me, so it's going to be very effortless to bring this hair back. I'm going to take my paddle brush or padded brush here with plastic and boar bristle. The plastic bristles are going to go right down to the scalp to grab all of the hair from the scalp, and the boar bristles are going to sweep the top of the hair to make sure it stays smooth. Very important to stand in front of the area you want to bring the hair to. So I want this hair centered in the back of the head, meaning so I'm going to stand in the back of the head. I also have prepared my elastic cord. So I cut a small section, and this is what I'm going to use to create the ponytail. Have these things ready so that when you get the area of the hair in the ponytail, you don't have to mess around with it and let it loose. It's always good to be set up and prepared. I'm going to take my brush and begin to brush the hair back toward me at the center of the back of the head. I'm going to do this on both sides. So I'm brushing the hair making sure that it's smooth everywhere. Decide where you want this low bun. Do you want it in the middle of the back of the head? Do you want it at the bottom of the back of the head? That's where you're going to want to brush the hair too. So you're going to want to have your hand in that spot. Continue to brush that hair until it's all nice and smooth. And once it's there, we're going to grab it with one hand. Now see, I moved that around and I'm getting some bunching here on the hair, so I'm going to go ahead and redo this. Re-smooth that hair, both sides. Now it's ready. I'm going to take my elastic cord. One end of the cord, you're going to slip under your thumb that's holding the ponytail right now. So take that elastic cord, slip one end of it under your thumb that's holding the ponytail, and I'm going to take the other section and I'm going to wrap it around. Now see, it's caught in my hand here so that it's able to be continuously pulled and wrapped. I'm going to wrap this and stretch that cord at the same time. I'm creating a really tight ponytail here that's not going anywhere. She's going to be able to last all night long with this style. I'm going to give it one more wrap. I'm going to grab both ends and see, because it's already wrapped, it's not going anywhere. And we're going to tie a knot. Actually, we're going to tie a couple knots. We don't want this to go anywhere. So slip that in, give it one tie, tie it again, tie it again, again, and I would say at least 4 times. And then we're going to have a little bit leftover elastic, so I'm going to go ahead and take my generic shears. Don't use your cutting shears, you don't want to mess them up, and just cut the rest of that cord off. Now here's a little hot tip for your client when she goes to take this out at home. Have someone cut it for her. It'll be much easier just to snip that cord and let the whole thing come out versus trying to pull the hair out of it. This cord alleviates us from having to loop the hair back and forth through a ponytail holder, which creates dents and bumps in the hair. So this is great. She's good to go with the ponytail. I'm going to take my comb and just touch up any areas that might have loosened. And then I'm going to take a little bit of hairspray, and just mist it, and use my hand to help lay down any flyaways. And then we're done with that section for the moment. Okay, we're going to take these clips out of the top. 1, 2, and then we're going to decide where we want the hair to start moving back. Where do we want this fullness? Now I can tell you generally the fullness looks nicer in the crown. If it gets too full toward the front of the head looks a little bit off balance. So using our mirror, really important time to use the mirror, take a look at your client. Where does this volume need to be? For this particular client, her hair needs to be around right here. So that's where I'm going to focus my back combing. In the front, I'm going to take the tip of my rat tail comb, I'm going to place it in right where her part is, and I'm going to do a tiny zigzag to separate that hair and create a part. This softens the part. If you create a very harsh part, just a straight part, and then separate the hair, oftentimes you can see that white line. You can even see it in the video here a little bit. It's a little bit more prominent. It's not really cute in pictures, right? Like you have this white line in the hair, it's not good. So take that rat tail comb and just do a tiny little zigzag right to the point where you want the hair to start coming back, and then separate that. And you see that just kind of softens up the part. Now we don't have that white line. Okay? I'm going to take 2 sections here from where I want the hair to start moving back, and I'm going to create a diagonal section moving forward. So we have these 2 sections of hair. What's going to happen is this hair behind it is going to be up and back, and this hair in front is going to lay over top of it so it's seamless and we don't see any parts. So we're going to separate this side, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the head. So these two sections of hair are going to be worked with last, and we're going to drape them back and over to bring it together. Now let's create the back comb section. Create the volume in the back. So let's get the hair we're going to work with here. Move the rest out of the way. And this is our section we're going to create fullness in the crown. I'm going to comb it so it's smooth. And I'm going to start here in the back of the head, and we're going to create a section across the top of the head. My rat tail comb, take that first section, lay the rest of the hair to the side, and then hold the hair straight up and take your comb, place it in, and push it down right to the scalp. This is back combing. The difference between back combing and ratting the hair are one thing actually. Back combing, the comb goes in and down, pressed to the scalp. Ratting the hair, you're going back and forth really fast. It tangles the hell out of the hair. It's really hard to get out of, and it's kind of damaging to the hair. So just put your comb in and press down. This creates a really solid base so that the hair will really do whatever you want. I mean, you could essentially just make this hair totally stand up if you want to by continuously doing that. That's not what we're looking for. So we'll comb this out and see once you put the back combing in, if you put it in, comb in and press down, you can take it out fairly easily too. So your client at home can brush this hair out. Now I'm thinking that that's probably enough, so we're going to bring that hair back, lay it down, and you can see now we have this fullness that's sitting, and we can create that curve in the back of the head. I'm going to add one more section here. It's a lot easier to decrease the volume after you've put the hair style together than it is to increase the volume. So if you overdo the back combing a little bit, you can always press that in a little bit toward the end. If you don't put enough in, you have to go back in and do it again. So error on the side of more versus less. All right, next section. I'm going to take another section the same way across the top of the head. Lay the rest of the hair to the side. Take this section, back comb. Bring it over top. We're not smoothing anything out yet. And these last couple sections, back comb, and lay over the top. Alright, now we're going to go in and smooth this and pin this first section to the ponytail. I'm taking a small, soft bristle brush, and I'm just brushing over the surface of the hair. So we're going to take this comb and be very gentle, very gentle, and just smooth that top section of the hair until it's where we want it. And see how that starts to blend into the rest of the hair. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Let's turn so we can swatch. Very gentle. Just on the surface. Do not dig into the rest of the hair. We want that back combing to stay on the inside. And now we have some nice fullness in the top of the crown. So, let's take this area. And I'm not kidding, I'm going really gentle with this brush right now. I do not want to force this hair down or pull that back combing out. And I'm going to take this section and I'm going to attach it to the ponytail. So one thing that works really well for me in the salon is if I get this hair right next to the ponytail and then give it a little twist. It helps me control it a little bit better before I put a pin in. I'm going to take a bobby pin, and I'm going to take that pin and grab just a section of the surface of that twist, put the pin through it, take it, turn it toward the head, push it in, and twist it again, and push it back. That locks the pin next to the head so it's not going to move. One pin, whole section, done. If you have a big, thick section of hair, take the hairpin and do the same thing. Cool? All right, fullness, roundness. Always step back and look at that silhouette. Make sure that when you're looking at the side of your client that it looks flattering. Here's an example of features. If your client has a real prominent chin, you might not want to put too much hair up here or you start to create this real elongated effect. If they have a prominent nose, it might not be great to put the hair right in the back of the head because it tends to extend the visual in this effect. If your client has a real strong forehead, might not be great to be putting the hair too far low because you start to get this extension in the other direction. So just keep an eye on that for flattering. Okay, let's work on these front pieces. I'm going to start with the small side. I'm calling it the small side because it has less hair. I'm going to go ahead and take a section, a diagonal section. So diagonal forward. And I'm going to create some backcombing just at the base. Not too much. Just a little bit to give me some stability. And I'm going to take my brush and smooth over the top of that backcombing until it's the desired amount of volume that you want. It's not great when this is too flat to the head. You know, we see these pictures of these beautiful soft looks that look effortless and very loose, but actually what's happened is there's enough backcombing in there to support the style, so when you pin it, it stays nice and full. Now, I like to look in the client in the mirror. If you can see, that's probably not as flattering as that. So once I get it to the position that I want, I can then come to the back of the head by the ponytail, take that hair. You can even wrap that hair around the ponytail if you want a little more stability. And then take a bobby pin, open the pin, and put it over top of that little end of hair. Push it in straight in toward the head, and then tip it down and push it. This is another example of creating tension with that pin so that it holds that whole section. That section for me now is complete, so I'm going to take my hairspray and just use my fingers at this point to smooth any flyaways. Once you pin the hair and you kind of want to stay away from using a brush or comb at this point, it tends to get a little, you could pull the hair out is what I'm trying to say. So just use your hand and smooth those flyaways. Alright, let's go to the other side. We have this one section in the front. I got done blow drying and there was a little bit of wave left in there, and I thought, well, you know, that might be kind of nice to push that wave into the rest of the hairstyle. It looks flattering. So I'm going to take my comb, do a little back combing on this side. Again, we're going to take this diagonal forward sections. And I'm taking a diagonal forward section because it's going to be complementary to taking the hair diagonally backwards. So we're going to put that comb in, bring it down to the scalp a couple times. You know, depending upon your client, if she has very fine or very slippery hair, you might need to add a couple more times of backcombing. There's also some great products out there that add some texture to the hair that help you to backcomb. Take another section right behind it, diagonal again. I'm going to put my comb in, press it down to the scalp a couple times, and then we'll grab the last section and do the same thing. Now, if you're going to create a braid or something interesting across the face, you would do that braid in this section and then pin that braid to the ponytail. Your choice. You can do kind of anything you want here. I've even seen it set so that there's a really nice wave. I might show that in another video, actually. So I have this back combing in the front of the hair. I'm going to go back with my brush with the soft bristles and take this hair and brush it back. Now, if your client likes and looks good with a lot of volume in the front, you could use, keep more of that volume. If she wants it more swept, you can just take it and sweep it. So we might even take this hair down forward a little bit. You can see the more I brush it, the smoother it gets and the softer it gets, and put that in a position where it sits on her forehead. It's a little more of a classic look. I'm going to take this hair, bring it into the back by the ponytail, wrap it around the ponytail once, and then take my bobby pin, take it, open it, put it over the end of that hair, push it in toward the scalp, down, and behind the ponytail. Okay, I've used a total of 3 pins and 1 elastic so far. Cool? Let's look from the side. How does the silhouette look? I see a little dent right here. You see that? So now I'm going to go in with my rat tail comb, and I'm just going to go in and pull this hair up a little bit. All that back combing in there really makes a difference. See? Now that kind of filled it out. If there's a little bit of a dent there, a little bit of a bump, you can take that and pull it down. You can also take this hair and pull it up a little bit to match that line so you lose that dent altogether. So the hair is really quite malleable afterwards with the back combing. You really can kind of push the hair around. Okay, I'm going to take some hairspray, and with my hand, I'm going to mist it, and then I'm going to take my hand and just soften those edges. Get rid of any flyaways. Let's look at the front. How is that sitting for her? Take your finger across the front hairline. Definitely want to ask your client to close her eyes at this time. She will get sprayed. And just run your fingers along the edges of that hair so all those little flyaways get put down. Okay. Cool. All set. Now we're going to create the flow bun. So grab your rat tail comb. We're going to take a section on top of the ponytail. Comb it out. Take your comb, back comb behind it. Right out to the edge. We're kind of building some depth into the ponytail. I'm going to take another section here, underneath. Build it out. Take another section. These sections aren't huge, but they are big enough to create some fullness. We're going to take this section here, and then we have one more, and I'm going to back comb this bottom section on top so the back combing is on the inside of the bun. So now we have this kind of crazy looking thing sticking out of the back of her head. So let's control it, shall we? Brush, soft bristle brush, just on the outside, and start to work this craziness into what looks like a pregnant ponytail. Just on the outside. So we're going to make it look real fat. This is an excellent disguise for someone who doesn't have much hair. You see how much hair there looks like now? Take your hairspray, mist the outside of the ponytail. You can use your hand to smooth this together. And this is what's going to create our bun. Alright, I'm going to turn her around so you can watch how this gets put together. We're going to need our hairpins. Large hairpins, lots of room. And I'm going to take my hand, put my hand over top of it, give it a twist so your thumb is next to the base of the ponytail. Give it a twist, don't squeeze it too hard. Bring it around and press it toward the head. Now before we bring the rest of that tail around, we're going to start pinning. First pin goes right on top, just through the very surface section of that bun, straight to the head. Tip the pin and pin it down. Let's go next to it. Push that pin in across the surface of the bun, straighten toward the head, back, and down. Now that will secure everything for the moment. So now we're going to take the rest of the hair and gently form the rest of this bun. You see what we have left here? Take my pin across the top of the surface of that bun, straight into the head, tip toward the head, press it down. Another pin across the surface of that bun, straighten toward the head, back toward the head, and press it down. Now we need to pin the bottom too. So I'm going to have my client here put her head down so I can attach this bottom area. I'm going to take a pin, grab the edge of that bun, Put the pin toward the scalp, tip it down, and press it up. If you press that pin and it's not going anywhere, ask them if it hurts because you may be poking their head. It's happened to me many times. If you ask, they're totally fine. If you don't, you're going to see a real wincing look on their face and they're not going to be happy. Plus, if the pins are too tight, it's going to be real sore later on. So you want it to be comfortable. Check the security. I'm just kind of feeling to see, are those pins secure? Are they going to want to pop out? Is there enough? Is there any little pieces poking out? There's a little piece poking out right there. So I'm going to take another pin. And I'm going to just go across the top of it, tip it, and push it in. Alright, she's super secure now. No hair's going anywhere. If she had shorter hair, we could have left a piece out. If you wanted to put a braid in it, you could put a braid in it. If she had a ton of hair and you wanted to loose braid this bun, you could have done that too. But you see the shape is what I'm looking at here. It's flattering on her head. It's classic. It's concise. The veil can go here, it can go here, it can flip over, you could put it underneath. Lots of options here, really easy to do. Okay? Cool. Well, as usual, I do have a business building tip for you, a couple maybe. When you're in the salon, one thing that we like to do is do some cross-promotion. And cross-promotion was offering our makeup artists to our wedding styles. So, bridesmaids, brides, always asking them if they wanted makeup, especially on the phone when booking appointments. Huge deal. Here, product, right? If you take a look at my 3 Steps to an Amazing Setup, you'll see that there's some product being used specifically designed to work with this styles. Retail, styling at home, giving them options, creating value for what you're doing. Huge deal here. Plus, I like to do on location weddings as well. It gives me something different and interesting to do. I'll find a makeup artist that I like to work with or another hairdresser and create a little team and we'll just go right to them. We can like bang it out real quick, whole wedding party, and it's good money and they really appreciate it. So it's fun to kind of do something different in a different venue. So check that out. That's pretty much it, honestly. Like, what an easy thing to do, right? Do some directional blow drying, backcomb the hair, pin it in place, she's good to go. So, if you like what I have here, please take a look at my channel, hit subscribe. I've got new things coming out every week, happy to share. Hopefully my next video will be an inspiration video because I really have some fun stuff to share with you. There was a 2009, we did Fashion Week in New York, and there's a style on there I want to share with you. So that's coming too. Anyway, if you have any questions, hit me up at shoptalkandstyle@gmail.com. If you have ideas or other techniques you want to share, put them in the comments. I'd love to talk about them. Other than that, I can't wait to see you soon. Take care.